Stephen Hurahan here at BrandMasterAcademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn the number one mistake that I see freelance designers make all the time and what you can do instead that will dramatically change how you're seen within the industry and, more importantly, how much you can charge. Now, early on in my design career, I had a number of different roles. I had roles in-house, I had roles in agencies working at different levels, but I always wanted to go out on my own and start my own business. So I was really pumped when I finally made the break. I finally went out on my own and I got to call myself a freelance designer. So that's what I did. I assumed that freelancer role and I put it on my website. I put it on my social pages, my business cards. I told anybody who would listen, from my friends and family to my prospective clients, that I was a freelance designer, and I started taking on freelance designer projects. So I was doing anything from websites to print design to logo design to environmental design and anywhere in between. And it was great at first. I was getting to work on loads and loads of different projects. I was really enjoying my work. But then over time, I started to notice that I was working on the same projects all the time. On my third year of freelance, and I was still working on the same types of projects that I was in my first year, and I realized that I wasn't evolving. Now, something else that I started to realize around about that time was in relation to my perception in the marketplace. Now, I believed I offered a huge amount of value to my clients. I offered a huge range of services. They didn't have to pay me a salary. They could pay me per project. I could work whenever I needed to work, and essentially I was an extension of their business. So I believed I offered a huge amount of value, and I also believed that that's exactly how they saw me. But long before I got into design and branding, I had studied finance and economics, and one of the core principles of economics is in relation to supply and demand. And supply and demand is what dictates price. The more supply there is of something, the less the price is going to be. The more demand there is of something, the higher the price is going to be. So I realized I had a problem in the marketplace in that there was an oversupply of freelance designers, and that was dictating price. So although I saw the huge amount of value that I offered in the marketplace, and I believed that my clients saw me in the same way, the reality was they thought to themselves that they could go and get this done cheaper online. Yes, I could offer a huge range of services. Yes, I could work whenever I wanted, but so could millions of other people. And that was starting to have a downward pressure on prices. And I realized that the services that I was offering in the marketplace were just a commodity. So essentially, by telling my clients that I was a freelance designer, I was telling them that I am labor for hire and I am prepared to compete in the marketplace on price. Now, I absolutely loved being a freelance designer. I loved everything about it. I loved the flexibility that it offered me and my lifestyle. I loved being able to problem solve with my clients and being able to work on different projects, having that flexibility within my work and that range of services that I was able to offer my clients. But regardless of how much I loved my work, regardless of how much I loved being a freelance designer, how I was seen in the marketplace didn't align with what I wanted to earn, with the life that I wanted to live aside from just my day-to-day role. So that's when I really had to think about what I was doing, and the more I dug into it, the more I learned, the more I came in front of strategic terms such as positioning. And what I learned about positioning was that how you position yourself in the marketplace is how your audience perceives you, and that's a direct relation into how much you're perceived as being of value to the company, how you're perceived by your clients as being worth in the marketplace. It dictates what you can charge. And if you want to position yourself as a generalist, if you want to position yourself as labor for hire, which a lot of businesses today see freelance designers as, then you're going to be competing on price. If, on the other hand, you look into the marketplace at an area that you would like to specialize, well, then you'll see that there is an undersupply of those specialists within that marketplace, and your ability to charge higher fees is a lot greater. So I realized from that point I needed to do two things. First of all, I needed to change my messaging. I needed to change what I had on my website, what I had on my social pages, my business cards, and I needed to change the conversations that I was having with my clients. And I needed to change it from, I'm a jack of all trades, I will do anything you need me to do, to, no, I specialize in this particular area. And the second thing I realized that I needed to do, I needed to upskill. I needed to identify exactly where I was going to specialize and invest in myself. Now, did this mean that I needed to start turning down all of these jobs so I could focus on my area of specialization? No, not straight away. It meant that I could continue to work the way I was, but I was just changing my messaging, and slowly over time was changing the conversations that I was having with my clients. And when I did come across those types of jobs that in the long run I didn't see as part of my long-term strategy, then I would slowly start to turn those jobs down. And these were low-paying jobs anyway. These were jobs that I didn't want to be working at, logo designs for a few $100s, website designs for a few $100s. And instead of spending all of that time working on these jobs and getting very little pay for it, I was investing in myself. I was learning, I was specializing, I was upskilling, and making myself a better asset in the marketplace that spoke to the position that I was taking. And that brings me back to the point of this video. The number one mistake that I see freelance designers making is positioning themselves as freelance designers. There's little benefit in positioning yourself as a freelance designer, even if you love the role. And that's exactly how it was for me. I loved being a freelance designer. I loved everything about it. I loved telling people that I was a freelance designer, but I realized there was little value in me doing that, because essentially I was telling my prospects that I'm the same as everybody else. I was the same as the millions of other freelance designers that were out there. And I was telling them that it was okay to compare me apples with apples for somebody that was charging $50 for a logo when compared to me, who was charging a lot higher. So if you are experiencing those same things, if you're experiencing clients that are comparing you with other freelance designers in the marketplace and telling you that they can go and get this done cheaper elsewhere, well, then you need to look at your positioning strategy. And if you want to change that, there are a few steps that you can take. Step number one, identify your strengths and passions. Now, if you're lucky enough, then your strengths and your passions will align. You'll both be passionate about something and you'll be very good at it as well. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you have a passion for something, but you're not particularly good at it. So if that is the case, if you do have a passion for something, but your skill set is not aligned, then you can take the time to upskill there. You can take the time to learn more, because at the end of the day, if you are passionate about it, then you're going to be better at it long term, because you're going to take more time to work on a passion than doing something that you don't like. So take a step back and ask that question based on what you do on a day-to-day basis. What is it that you love to do, and what is it that you're good at doing? If you're great at illustrations, or you got a passion for illustrations, then maybe you can position yourself as an illustrator. If you're very good at, let's say, children's illustrations, well, then a great position for you in the marketplace would be as a children's book illustrator. So that's a perfect idea of how you can position yourself in the marketplace as a specialist based on your passions and your strengths. What about web design? Maybe you love web design. If so, you can position yourself as a UX designer or a UI designer. Or what about problem solving? Maybe you love speaking with your clients to identify their problems, to understand who their audience is, and to understand their competitors, and to devise a plan to build their strategic brand. So if so, maybe you can position yourself as a brand strategist. But it's a really important step to have a look at exactly what you do on the marketplace on a day-to-day basis and identify those strengths and those passions. Step number two, change your messaging. So you'll have a website already, you'll have some social pages, maybe you'll have to get some new business cards done up, but you need to change your messaging in the marketplace. And this includes conversations that you have with your clients. If you're talking to your clients about what you do, then you talk to them about what your position is in the marketplace, and you weigh up the options, whether or not you can still help them based on the job that they want you to do, or whether you're going to turn it down because it's not within your realm of your specialization. But you need to be crystal clear on exactly what it is that you do. You need to be crystal clear on who you do it for, what exactly you do, and what value that brings to the table as well. And step number three, invest in yourself. Now, this is really, really important here. If you are going to position yourself in the marketplace, well, then you need to invest in yourself. You really need to become a specialist. If you want to specialize in illustration, if you want to specialize in UI design, UX design, if you want to specialize as a strategist, you need to learn everything you can, and you need to become a lifelong student. There is an old saying, a rolling stone grows no moss. And essentially what that's saying is that as long as you're moving, as long as you're continuously learning, then you're not going to get old and outdated. And this is a really, really fast moving industry. All industries are fast moving today, but particularly this industry. If you're not learning new skills, if you're not upskilling, if you're not really focusing on the area that you specialize in, then you're going to be left behind. So So take the time, invest in yourself, and really invest in becoming a lifelong student again. Invest in becoming the best within your industry, the best within your area of specialization. And that's when you can really confidently define yourself as a position specialist. So really take the time to invest in yourself and learn as much as you can. Now listen, if you are a freelance designer and you're passionate about freelance design and you love positioning yourself in the marketplace and working on those types of projects, and you're working with the clients that you want to work with and earning the money that you want to earn, well then no, you don't need to change what you're doing at the moment. But if you are experiencing some of the difficulties that I spoke about in terms of your perception in the marketplace about being compared with freelance designers that are charging far, far less than you, and you offer a lot more through your services, well then this is something that you really need to consider. Are you positioned effectively in the marketplace? Is the freelance designer position working against you, and can you do something different? Now, if you'd like more tips and techniques like this, well then head on over to BrandMasterAcademy.com and sign up for the newsletter. It is free, and I'll drop those tips and techniques right into your inbox. And I do keep some exclusive content for my list, so definitely get yourself on that list if you enjoy this content. If you enjoyed this content as well, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. It'll let you know when I've got new videos coming out, and I'm releasing multiple videos a week at the moment. But I want to pass it back over to you now, and I want to genuinely hear your feedback on this. Are you positioned in the marketplace as a freelance designer? If so, how's that working out for you? Are you enjoying the position as freelance designer? Are you enjoying working in that role, or are you experiencing some of those difficulties as well? Have you been wondering, how to position yourself more effectively, how to charge more fees, and how to specialize in a certain area? I'd love to hear. If you've got any challenges at all in relation to positioning yourself, then let me know in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer all of those. Until next time, brand like a master, and I will see you in the next video.